making guests feel welcome one home at a time.
Hello, viewers. We are at a client's house and we have an opportunity today. You can see behind me 4 piles of bark. We had a tree incident. They had a tree split in a storm, went over the driveway, got rid of that, and then we had an opportunity to take out 3 other old, massive, probably going to split trees in this yard, and we get to start over. So what we're going to do is we're going to take advantage of these already dug holes, and we're going to plant 3 new trees. We're going to shop for the trees, we're going to talk about the mature size of these trees, and then we're going to plant the trees. Not all on the same day because we have to have the trees delivered, which, hello, you know how I feel about this. Get the largest tree you can afford and then have it delivered, and then we will plant them together. So let's take a little look at these spots. If they do it correctly, you can see that there's quite a bit of dirt around here. You can see the footprint of the tree. And so not only did they cut down the tree, they got in there and they ground up the stump. And that's what you will need to happen if you want to plant in the same spot or even nearby. You want them to get as much of the stump out as you can. When you have a tree removed, it's not enough just to have it chopped off and carted away. You need the whole stump removed. If you have a chance to watch them grind the stump out, do it. Film it. It's awesome. My husband would kind of like to have that job. So down in here is a hole. We're going to get to it, but we're going to save this bark. This is wonderful as a mulch. It's wonderful as compost. It will break down. It's natural. We're going to mulch around the tree with this very stuff. In fact, I can feel in here that it is still moist from the last rain that we had. But look at this bark. You pay a lot of money to get bark like this. It's right here for the taking. We're going to use it. So let's go shopping. So here we are at a local nursery. And this is a great example of an affordable evergreen. So I don't know if you can read this, but this is Monrovia, and it is a Feelin' Sunny deodar cedar. So it's $150, and that is a very good price for what's called a 6-foot tree. Now, once you put it in the ground, it's going to be a little less than that, but it's a really good sized tree. It's the right price, and if you wanted something like this, something evergreen for your yard, then this is a great option. But you have to look at the back. What zone is it good for? Well, it's for zones 7 to 9. So this would probably be fine. It'd be better if it said 6 to 9, but it says 7 to 9. You want 1 zone lower if possible than where you are. I think it would be okay. You also want to look at average size. It says it quickly reaches 12 to 15 foot tall if a leader forms and 8 feet wide. Now, do you want it to be 8 feet wide? In the yard we're working in, yes, I think you do, because it fills out nicely and goes up the right height, and we can work around it. So I think this would be a good buy. So we think we've chosen the cedar we want. Now we're going to look at very specific things. This right here is called a leader. We want it to be as straight as possible to start with, so we don't have to stake it or try to correct it when we get it home. So we were looking at this one versus this one. This one has a pretty straight leader, and then it starts going off to the side. As does this, but only at the very top with more branches going out. This one is not quite as tall, but we're gonna, I think, choose this one. It has some beautiful growth. It has a straight leader, and it is staked to here. You want to plant it with the stake to help it stay straight as long as possible before you either just cut it off at the ground or see if you can pull it out. So I think this is the one we may be going for. Sticking with our non-deciduous, which means the leaves will not fall off, evergreen idea, and with a little bit of a yellow tone to go with the deodar. We have here a golden Oakland holly. I cannot describe to you how beautiful this is in person with the yellow growth. So what we like about this, it is full sun, and it's hardy in zone 6 to 9, which means we're in zone 7. So we want one zone lower, which is great. And it has a moderate growth rate, and it does not get too large. So it says 15 to 20 feet high, 12 to 15 wide. Perfect for this bed we're going in. But I want to talk to you about the leader. This has one solid leader. That means the main branch going up, but it's shorter. It's probably only 5 feet tall. Look at this beauty. Now, some people see this as a downside, but I do not. This one has 2 leaders, and most of its full growth is down at the bottom. I think it's awesome. Then we have this one that seems fuller, and it is, but it has no fewer than 3 leaders. So we may not want this one because of the 3 leaders. Some people like that. I like more of this kind of shape. I think this is more interesting. It goes better with the shape of the cedar. I think this is the one we're going to get, and it's a great price. I think we saw that it was right around $150, which I always say, get the most you can afford, and this is what the client can afford. And for our final tree, we have chosen a deciduous tree, which means the leaves will fall, so it won't be evergreen, but it is a purple foliage forest pansy redbud, which is native to Tennessee. And this is really great. You want to get native trees if you can, because that means they'll adapt to the soil, the conditions. It's native. It likes it here versus something that comes from overseas. So it's a little bit more than we wanted to spend, not a ton more. What I like about this is it is what's considered a flowering tree, which means we have beautiful buds and flowers in the fall. In the spring, sorry, beautiful buds in the spring. It loves full sun, and it grows 30 foot tall max, 35 wide max, and that's the canopy going 35, not the trunk. And it works well in our trio. It has moderate to fast growth. It's zones 4 to 9, which means it will handle our seasons beautifully. And it's fairly easy to grow. You can pretty much ignore this most of the time. If you're already watering other trees around, it'll be just fine. I want you to look at the size of this pot. This tells you it's got a really good root system. It's expanding, and we'll get it out of this pot really soon into the ground. And the other thing we love about this is that it starts out with purple foliage and it fades to yellow and green, and then it goes to yellow in the fall. And that's what we have here, yellow. So we have kind of a purple yellow theme with some green, and they should all go together well as a trio. And the next time you see us, you'll be planting them. Well, we have 3 trees to plant this morning, and we're going to plant them ourselves. You know why? Because you can plant them yourselves. You don't have to hire somebody, and I'm going to show you how. We're going to start with regular tools. You probably already have a shovel, although you may not have the root slayer, and if you don't, you need it. A rake, and then once we have the hole dug, we will need a level to make sure that the tree trunk is level. We will need measuring tape and another vessel, and I'll get to that when we need to talk about the size of the hole. I've got biotone starter, which is really great for helping the roots get motivated to spread out in the fall. And I have some soil amendment from the actual grower. So this is good stuff to put in the hole with the native soil. And don't forget your kneeling pad. Let's get started. Let's talk about the hole the tree is going into. You want a bigger hole than the actual size of the container. Now this is something I like to keep around so that I have a free one to measure. So if you measure this, here's our tape measure, it's about 10 inches. Now it's probably lower than that, and I had a hole dug that is actually bigger than that. That's important to help the roots spread. So let's just put this down in here. Well, you can see the hole is actually lower than we want the level of the top of the plant to be. So we're going to backfill right away, which is good because this soil is loose, it's healthy, and the roots won't struggle so much. So the first thing we do is fill in some of this dirt. All right, let's test it. It's still a little too low. Some more dirt. Good dirt. little bit more. You don't want any rocks in here necessarily, but if you have to have them in there, that's okay. Okay, now I'm gonna go ahead and run some water in this hole because this dirt is gonna settle, and then I'm gonna try it again and see how low it's gonna settle down with my tree container. This is good old Tennessee clay with some good soil in there. All right, this looks pretty good. You wanna plant a tree high. If I need to add some soil once the tree is in, I will do that. Now we're going to add the biotone. Very, very good idea to get the roots started. Now here's what I want you to know about biotone. You can get it anywhere. It's called Biotone Starter Plant Food. The biotone needs to touch the roots to work well. So, you know, there will be measurements on the bag. I just throw a bunch of it in because this is a pretty big root ball. And I get it down inside this soil right here that I just put in, so the roots will automatically touch it. And now comes the fun part, getting the tree into the hole. First, we have to get it out of its container. You don't have to be super careful with your tree. You're gonna have to tip it. You're gonna have to get it out of here. So don't be worried about it touching the ground. Trees are very, very durable. They're very sturdy. And this is an evergreen. So it's a holly. You almost can't kill these things, almost. So I'm just loosening up the soil around it. So now I'm going to turn it, and I'm going to, this is a golden Oakland holly. And you can see the golden on the tips of the leaves. Okay, now I'm gonna see if I can get this off here. Well, it doesn't want to release. I'm just loosening up the root ball. It's in really good dirt, by the way. Okay, here it comes. So I'm one person. I can get this out of the container, and so can you. Let's take a look at the actual root ball. It is at its highest point about 8.5 inches deep. Let's check our space here. 8.5 inches. It's still too deep. I'm gonna add some more dirt. And in case you're wondering why this is important, you don't want water to pool around the trunk of the tree and cause problems. You want the water to run off of the root ball. So we don't want this hole to just hold buckets of water and rot the tree. We want the tree to be happy. That's why we paid money for it. That's why we're putting it out here. I can just tell by looking that we're gonna need more dirt. Okay, let's take a look now. I'm gonna add a little bit more. All right, this tree is not crazy heavy, so I'm gonna go ahead and set it in there and see if we need to tip it and add some more, or if it's gonna be fine. Now, depending on where you want the best side to be, like, do you wanna be in the house, looking out at the best side, or do you want the best side toward the street? Personally, I like it facing me, but the client would prefer that it be facing kind of somewhere in between. Now, there's no really bad side to this, I don't think. So let's just give it a try. Remember, I'm not a big person and I'm able to plant this. Okay, so let's look down in here. Do you see how this is a little bit high according to the depth of the hole? We love that. That is awesome. So now when we're looking at this tree, I'm 5'4". The leader, the main leader, is probably 6 foot or more. This is an excellent sized tree. It's going to start out very happily in its life here. Now, second most important thing, is it straight? Because what we don't want to do, no one wants to do, is have to take this tree out to straighten it. So we have a really nice leader right here. I'm going to take this level and I'm going to set it up against the leader of the tree. Is it level? it could go a little more that way. So I'm gonna take some dirt and put it under the root ball just on this side, and it should be fine. I can also fix this after I planted it by stepping down into the dirt, but you may notice there's quite a skirt around the bottom of this tree. I'm not gonna have the room I normally would with a deciduous tree to get my foot in there and stomp down the dirt. I can get it in there, but not as easily as a deciduous tree. So I'm gonna just add a little bit of dirt, and then we're gonna fill it in, and that's gonna be it for planting it. And then we have some more information after it's planted. But while I have you, we are going to add this wonderful compost type stuff. So when you get stuff like this, it is really, really beneficial to the tree. But you don't want it to be just this. You want to mix it in with the native dirt. So I'm going to be doing dirt and compost and dirt and compost until I feel like I have it filled in. I'm going to pack it down with my hands. I'm going to water it, put some more, water it until I feel like I have this as level as I can get it for this tree. So here we go. Okay, I'm just going to tip it up a bit, get some dirt down in there. See if I can pack some in. It's as level as I think we're gonna get it at this time. So we're just gonna keep working. We've filled the hole, but this is what's important. I'm gonna come around and I'm gonna step, and you can see how my foot is going down in. That means there's still too much room in this hole. So I'm gonna go around. Do you like my clown shoes? These were a gift from another gardener. I kind of love them. And just step into the dirt. You can feel it sink down. That's good. You don't want it to be like stupidly hard pressed. You want it to be just, you know, gently. Now, it's not going to be as easy to see on this tree, but here is the base of the tree. You can see we have a little too much room still. You want it to be high, but you don't want it to dry out. So I'm going to fill with a little more dirt around here, and then it'll be done. The tree is in, it's level, it's filled, and I'm going to give you a little tip that I learned from the Garden Answer lady, Laura and Aaron, the crew. Plant it high and they won't die. That's a little refrain that goes through my head. Plant it high, they won't die. Plant it low, they won't grow. Oh, look at that little rhyme. Get it stuck in your head because it's all true. Now, let's say it's gonna rain tomorrow. Should we still water it? Yes. You always water in, even if it's raining while you're planting. So ideally, you just want this to run slowly into the hole, but we're just gonna go ahead and give it a good watering like this. We're gonna come back and put a water ring around it, but while we have it here, while the space is open, we're gonna go ahead and heavily water it. You wanna see this water pooling. You want it to look ridiculously moist and happy around here. Get down into the tree itself. Get out here where you want the roots to go. This yard has a bit of a slope to it, so it's going to be interesting to see how the water does around this ring. We'll get back to the ring once we have all 3 trees planted. Our next tree is a feelin' sunny deodar cedar. Now, this is a zone 7 to 9. We are in 7A-B here. It would have been better had it been a zone 6, just to be a little more cautious, but these do pretty well here, so I'm not too worried. Also, since it has the word sunny in it, that tells you this can take some sun, which it will need to take in this pretty much full sun yard. There's no morning sun, it gets some shade, but the afternoon it's gonna hit it. So you can see this is a much smaller container. We have a giant hole. I know for a fact I'm going to have to backfill this a bit, but that's okay. So we're gonna do the same process we do with the other tree. Just watch along, we'll speed it up, cue you in on some parts you need to know about. Here we go. This is gonna be, you might notice I'm not putting grass in this hole. There is some grass here, but I'm gonna make sure I do not get the grass in the hole. You don't want the grass competing with the roots of this beautiful tree. All right, there is a massive root here. Will this matter? Probably not. This is from the old tree. It is cut off. If it causes problems later, I can come in and paint it with something, a product that will kill the root. So it's not horrible. We don't have to move the hole. It's just something we have to work around. I want you to notice on this tree, it is staked. This is a smaller tree. It tends to want to sort of bend. You leave the stake in as long as you can. It's not going to hurt anything. It's made out of wood. It will eventually just disintegrate and work its way into the soil. It's perfectly fine to leave it up for as long as you want to, pretty much as long as you can with a tree like this that tends to want to bend and weep a bit. Here it comes. Very simple to get it out. We're going to place it, and I think we sort of want it to bend back towards the house, would be my opinion. Let's get might be a little high. I don't know, let me think about this. It might be a little bit high, but we'll check here in a minute. I want to make sure I've got it fairly level, and wow, it's almost dead level. Okay, so it's level as it is. Let me just take a look at it. Is it too high? Not really. You can see that the root system is a little bit lower. The roots don't actually start till somewhere down here, which is pretty much even with this. I think I'm gonna leave this because it's gonna settle even further, and I'd rather it be a little too high. Plant it high, it won't die, than too low when it won't grow. So let's fill it in. I'm only going by the stake, not the actual tree. The stake, well, and the actual tree. You're gonna leave this ribbon on, although you could cut it back if it bothers you, but you want it to keep it tied. You could also use other constraints. There are gardening ones, there are soft ones. You could go to a more rubber one, up to you. Not a zip tie. Do not use a zip tie. It's sharp, it's plastic, it'll cut in. That's good enough for now. I am gonna fill in a bit more dirt on this end. You can see it's dipping here. We do not want it to dip. So I'm just gonna go around and put in some more dirt, and we'll move on to tree 3. Our final and largest tree is a forest pansy redbud. Now this is a deciduous tree, meaning all of these leaves will color up in the fall and they will drop, and you'll be stuck with just the structure for the winter, which is fine because in the spring it's going to bud these purple buds that are just glorious, possibly some white. I mean, it's going to be stunning. Then it develops these huge leaves, and it's going to create this tremendous canopy. So I know what you're thinking. You're looking at this tub going, you are never going to get that into that hole. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Remember, I'm not a big person. I can do this, you can do this. I'm just gonna roll it in when it's time. But first, we need to amend the perfectly dug hole, wider than the actual root ball, deeper than the actual root ball. We're gonna put in some dirt, some amendment, and then we're gonna level it up and get this thing planted. All right, here we go. Remember, I'm not a big person. I'm picking it up at the base of the root ball, and I'm just going to roll it in. Watch this happen. Look at that. You don't have to hire somebody. Now, I'm gonna take a look at this. This one is definitely gonna need the level. She's right behind me. And look at me, absolutely level. Now, you might notice we got a little bending going on, but that's okay. It's supposed to do that. What's important is that the root ball is level. You might also notice it's a little bit high. Plant it high, it won't die. Thank you, Laura and Aaron. So here we go. Gonna amend, fill it in, get it watered. Now, if your tree remover was really thoughtful, they left you with a pile of bark, and this is natural mulch. It is golden, it will break down. And we're gonna put this around the trees, our newly planted trees, to bark it in or mulch it in with the most perfect, beautiful stuff you can imagine. And I know what you're thinking, well, that's really ragged and weird looking. Well, the more ragged the mulch is, the bark is, the longer it takes to break down and the more extensive it stays on top of your planting area. So I love this bark. It's a little bit of work to get it moved from one pile to the next, but hey, workout routine. One of the best things you can do for your newly planted trees is get a watering pad. So I'm talking about this now. We're not ready to fill this yet because you want a layer of mulch under the pad. It'll help keep it in place and it'll go through the mulch, breaking it down. So we have our mulch ready to put under here. It's wood bark mulch, but I'm gonna go ahead and place this to see how far we need it to go. That gives us a pretty stinking good idea of where the mulch needs to go. And it does want to be close to the trunk, but not necessarily right up against the trunk because we want the roots to go out. So we're all gonna mulch that area under it and put this on top. All right, we have about 2 inches of mulch around this tree. Now I wanna point out something. The mulch is not touching the center of this tree. We don't want it to be touching, even though it's wood, even though it's exactly what we want in the ground. It's normal, it's environmental. We do not want it touching the base of this tree. So it's up close, but not touching. And when we put this water ring around it, it's going to help it stay in place. Now let's talk about this water ring. If you are not someone who likes to water, if you do not have a sprinkler system in your yard, if you are going away for a week or 2 weeks, you need one of these around your newly planted tree. You cannot count on the weather unless you're in like Hawaii or Seattle or somewhere where it rains all the time. And it doesn't rain all the time here in the South. You need this ring around here to be distributing water regularly. The water is going to go into this screw area, which I love. It screws on, you don't have to press it down, so annoying. And on the bottom are these emitters. Here's one. And here's one. You can see that they are equidistant across the tube, the inner tube. So they're going to actually distribute the water. I know this sounds crazy, but it really does work. It will soak that area. It's a slow release. And all you have to do is fill it, people. That's it. You can do it. I believe in you. All right, here we are. It is full of 20 gallons of water, or as close to 20 gallons as we could get. You can see it's all buoyed up by the water. It's gonna slow release. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put a little more mulch under the lowest side to help the water distribute a little more evenly because we are on a slope. But I love this product so much and you will too. We'll put the link below. For those of you who live in a woodland area or you have woodland creatures coming into your yard and possibly disturbing your landscape, let me introduce you to this little product called a tree trunk protector. Now this is super easy. I'm gonna do a double stack on this. Here's the first one around the trunk. I'm gonna aim it back towards here so it doesn't aim towards the street. You just place it around your trunk. It's just basically a cage. And you have landscape staples that help it stay in the ground. Just anchor it like that. There's one on this side. I'm gonna put one on this side. You can use as many as you want. I don't think in this area, in this dirt, you're gonna need too many of these. And I use landscape staples for so many things. They're such a great product. Well, that one's not very tight. So I'm gonna fuss with this and get it tightened around to hold it into place, basically. There's gonna be mulch over it. And then what you do here at this closing, you use your zip ties and you just tie this together along the open end, just like that. So I'm gonna actually do a double stack on this to keep the cage up higher like this, so that any young buck or armadillo or anything that might disturb it is pushed away. Also, bonus for this product, The mulch will not get up too close to the bark with this in place, so win-win. All right, a little under 2 hours work and filming, and here are our 3 trees in the ground, fertilized, adapted to the soil, mulched, with their water rings going. So if you thought tree planting was really too hard, wrong. It does take a little bit of effort, does take a little bit of time, but it's totally worth it. And listen, if I can do it, you can do it.
Come on over. Now go make someone feel special today.